pressed and stuck because I had just lost, my coach 1 week, my aunt the second week.
But now that another layer of his story has surfaced, Nate Robinson just dropped a bombshell, alleging that Marbury not only destroyed himself but also allegedly destroyed a woman's life in the process. Let's get right to the heart of this storm. The whole mess began when Anucha Brown Sanders decided she'd had enough. Enough of the disrespect. Enough of the humiliation. Enough of being silenced. So, she filed a harassment lawsuit, not just against Isaiah Thomas, but against Madison Square Garden itself and its chairman, James Dolan. And Brown Sanders wasn't just any employee. She was a senior vice president of marketing and business operations, a high-ranking executive, handling real business. But according to her lawsuit, MSG had devolved into a living nightmare, a place where harassment wasn't the exception, it was the norm. She accused Thomas of sexually harassing her and then firing her for speaking out. This wasn't just someone making an inappropriate comment once. This was a full-blown toxic environment, a pattern of behavior that made it impossible for people, especially women, to do their jobs without enduring disrespect, intimidation, and fear. Isaiah Thomas denied everything. "I want to say this as loud as I possibly can, I am innocent. I'm very innocent. I did not do the things she accused me of in this courtroom." But then came the plot twist. Because Stephon Marbury got dragged into the courtroom, and what he admitted under oath? It was a scandal within a scandal. On September 12, 2007, Marbury was called to testify. And that's when things got real spicy. In front of the entire world, under oath, Marbury confessed to something no married man wants exposed. He admitted to a sexual encounter with Kathleen Decker, a 22-year-old Knicks intern, in April 2005. The details? Absolutely outrageous. It all started with a team trip to a strip club in Mount Vernon, New York. That alone is questionable when executives and interns are involved. But what happened next was a clear abuse of power. Marbury approached Decker and asked, "Are you going to get in the truck?" She said yes. They had sex in his vehicle. Later, Marbury texted her, "I want some more of that." This wasn't just a one-off. This was a power dynamic completely out of control, in a workplace where the rules didn't seem to apply to certain men. According to Sanders, Decker told her she felt like she couldn't say no to Marbury because of his celebrity status. And this right here is what people mean when they talk about toxic work culture, when fame and power create an environment where coercion is masked as consent. But then, another twist. On September 24th, Kathleen Decker testified and contradicted Sanders. She said the encounter was completely voluntary. She said she was in control. Suddenly, this wasn't just about misconduct, it was about conflicting accounts, blurred lines, and public uncertainty. But even with that, Marbury's behavior in court was shocking. He called the lawsuit ridiculous, a joke. And then admitted, on the stand, that he called Sanders a b**h during a phone call. "But don't worry," he said, "I didn't mean it racially." How that was supposed to help, no one knows. One of the most telling moments? After giving this explosive testimony, Marbury got into the elevator and made a remark that showed he thought it was all beneath him. But the trial didn't just expose him, it exposed how nepotism and favoritism had corrupted MSG from the inside out. Marbury's cousin, Hassan Gonalves, was hired at his request. But instead of doing the job, he sexually harassed female employees, including Decker. He was later fired, but by then, the damage was done. And while all this chaos was exploding in public, Marbury was hiding something else, an affair that he was desperately trying to keep under wraps. During that same time, he was involved with Thea Mitchell, his family's personal chef. Hired in January 2006. According to court documents, the affair happened about 5 times. But this wasn't just about infidelity. Mitchell claimed Marbury made her believe that keeping him happy was part of keeping her job. Another case of power abuse. Another example of a man with influence putting a woman in an impossible situation. And when Marbury fired Mitchell later that year, she didn't go quietly. She accused him of harassment. And suddenly, Marbury realized he was in serious trouble. With the Knicks trial blowing up, and his name already in the mud, he agreed to pay her $900,000 to stay silent. Yes, $900,000. Let that sink in. That's how much he thought this could damage his career. Almost $1 million, just to buy her silence. And for a few years, it worked. Between 2006 and January 2010, Marbury paid Mitchell around $600,000. She stayed quiet. But then, he stopped making payments. And that's when everything started falling apart. Why did he stop? Maybe financial trouble. Maybe his NBA career was drying up. He was moving to play overseas. But regardless, the truth was about to erupt again. Meanwhile, the harassment trial reached its conclusion. On October 2, 2007, the jury returned a verdict that rocked the sports world. They found that Isaiah Thomas had harassed Anucha Brown Sanders. They ruled that MSG had wrongfully fired her. The financial penalty? $1.6 million in punitive damages. $6 million for the hostile work environment. $5.6 million for retaliatory firing. A total of $11.6 million. Isaiah Thomas was stunned. I'm extremely disappointed that the jury could not see the facts in this case. I will appeal this. I remain confident in who I am and the family I have. But for the Knicks? It was over. A complete PR disaster. The lawsuit had exposed strip club culture, inappropriate conduct, and toxic management practices to the public. Marbury, despite not being a defendant, had become a symbol of it all, a man who viewed the court as a circus and the testimonies as an inconvenience. His dismissive attitude, his casual admissions, and his $900,000 hush money deal made him one of the faces of MSG's collapse. And as for the relationship between Marbury and Isaiah? It completely imploded. In November 2007, Thomas benched Marbury. Marbury reportedly said, "I've got so much stuff on Isaiah, and he knows it," threatening to air even more dirty laundry. The tension boiled over during a team flight. It was no longer about basketball. It was about survival in a toxic environment. From 2005 to 2008, Nate Robinson was there, witnessing one of the most dysfunctional eras in NBA history. Years later, he spoke out, confirming that what the public saw was just the tip of the iceberg. And even after the trial ended, it wasn't really over. It was just the beginning of a whole new level of chaos. That $11.6 million judgment wasn't about money. It was about truth. About exposing the rot festering inside one of basketball's most iconic franchises. For Isaiah Thomas, it was a career death sentence. He stuck around until April 2008, but everyone knew he was done. The Knicks' horrendous 23-59 record that season gave management the excuse they needed to cut ties. His reputation? Shattered. His authority? Gone. The team he tried to build? In ruins. And Marbury? It only got worse. By 2008, the Knicks told him not to practice. Not to show up. Not to even be around. His mental state? Deteriorating. In 2009, he did a 24-hour live stream that had fans thinking he'd lost his mind. He cried. He acted erratically. He even ate Vaseline on camera for what he claimed was a sore throat.